Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. We are getting closer and closer to the launch of the next Warzone map, Warzone Pacific as they're calling it, which is going to be one of, if not the single biggest change we've ever seen in Warzone history. Obviously, for the core of Warzone, we've been playing on Verdansk for about 2 years at this point. We're coming up on that 2-year mark. Obviously, it started back during the Modern Warfare content season. We had the original 2020 version of Verdansk, and then with Cold War, we eventually saw Verdansk 1984, which is kind of different, but is still the same layout, still pretty much plays the same with some different reskins and different textures here and there. So we really haven't had a big new map in Warzone yet. Warzone Pacific is going to change that, but with that, there comes a lot of other questions. What's going to be happening with Verdansk? What's going to be happening with Rebirth? And that second part of that question is what I really want to focus on today, because over the past couple of days, we've actually gained some new information on what the whole new map update is going to look like and what's going to happen when that time comes. So I wanted to go over what could potentially be some pretty bad news for Warzone if things play out in a sort of unfortunate way. So as we go over it all, if you enjoy the video at any point, let me know by dropping a like on it. It really does help out the channel. And of course, if you're new here or if you have not already subscribed, this is the place to be for everything going on in COD. News, updates, intel, loadouts, tips. It is all right here every single day. So feel free to subscribe with your notifications turned on. Also, the Horizon frames and glasses from Gamer Advantage are still in stock, but they are going to sell out. So if you guys want to get a pair for yourself, these are my personal favorite glasses. The colorways they have are super cool. So if you want to pick up some, or if you want to grab some other frames, code Immortal gets you a nice little discount at checkout. Link for that will be down in the description below. So the first thing I want to look at is the Season 6 studio broadcast that Treyarch actually posted on their YouTube channel back when Season 6 first launched. But at the start here, as we can see, there is a small, about 2-minute portion dedicated to Warzone and the overall narrative that's going on there. And as we'll see here, Amos Hodge, who is the creative director at Raven, ended up saying something very specific about the new Warzone map that I think is pretty important, because it's the first official confirmation we have on this actual update. So let's go ahead and let's listen to what he has to say here.
Season 6 will be our last time in Verdansk, so we want to do something special and bring back the
let's rewind that for a sec and see what exactly Amos just said about the update coming with Vanguard and what's going to happen to Verdansk specifically to start off this conversation.
Players will be really happy for this. Season 6 will be our last time in Verdansk, so we want...
Season 6 is officially the last time in Verdansk, meaning that 110% confirmed when Vanguard integrates into Warzone and we see the new Warzone Pacific map, Verdansk is going bye-bye. We're not going to have the option to play on Verdansk or the Pacific map. It's going to be just the Pacific map for the main version of the game. But they have not said anything about Rebirth Island, which is what I wanted to really focus on in today's video. So the reason I want to bring this up and talk about the potential of Rebirth Island either staying as a map or potentially getting removed from the game once Vanguard integrates is because Rebirth over the past couple of months has seriously spiked in popularity. When Rebirth first launched, it didn't seem like it had a ton of hype behind it, right? A lot of people looked at it and was like, okay, if I played Blackout, I know what that map is. It's just Alcatraz. It pretty much is a copy and paste, just with a handful of different aesthetic changes. Now, over the course of time, obviously, we've seen new buildings added in with like the whole command center and some different aesthetics changes here and there. But Rebirth, for the most part, is very similar to what we had back on Alcatraz during Blackout. So at first, it didn't have a ton of hype around it. But then as players started playing it more and more, it really seems like it started to grow in the community. And now Rebirth is incredibly popular. I know JGod ended up actually doing like a little poll on his channel the other day where he asked what players played the most in Warzone, and Rebirth Resurgence was predominantly favored over a lot of the main modes like Verdansk and, you know, Plunder and whatnot. So it was really interesting to see that so much of the community actually really enjoys Rebirth now versus at the start. And I feel like there's a handful of different reasons to that. For one, Rebirth is way more casual than Verdansk. Something I think pretty much everyone can agree on. When you jump on Warzone, you want to play the game, you want to get into gunfights, you don't want to be running around for 10-15 minutes, looting up, trying to, you know, hunt down players. And Rebirth gives you the exact perfect formula to do that consistently. It is small, it is, you know, close quarters, tons of chaos, tons of action, and the matches are very quick. Verdansk matches can last 20 to 30 minutes if you're making it to end zone and you play a really good game, especially if the end zones are like up in the salt mine hills or over by prison where it's just, you know, a rat fest at the end when everyone's posted in corners with their heartbeat sensors and ghost out, right? So Verdansk games can be very slow and sort of monotonous depending on, you know, the specific game where the zone's going to go and who's in your match, obviously, and obviously how you want to play the game as well. If you're super aggressive or if you're a bit more relaxed and want to do like recons and stuff. Verdansk is a little bit more hardcore and dedicated to really putting the time and the effort in. Rebirth, though, pretty straightforward. You jump in, you land at your little corner of the map, you move in. It's a quick game, 10 to 15 minutes, the match is over, and you can keep respawning, you can keep coming back. There's no time spent, waiting, spectating. It's very straightforward, very casual, friendly, and very inviting compared to Verdansk, which is why I think a lot of players, especially the casual players who, aren't always on the game 24/7 or on the second a new update drops, really do enjoy playing Rebirth Island. It also allows for a lot more weapons to be a lot more viable because you don't constantly have everyone plated up when they're coming in off of a respawn from the sky. Obviously, they're not fully geared at that point. The close quarters action means that you don't have to worry as much as you would on Verdansk about making the perfect loadout because, like I said, things like some underpowered SMGs are a lot more viable in Rebirth, where it's a lot more forgiving than on Verdansk, where you have to be ready for a close range fight because they're not always going to be predominantly available, right? So the meta is a lot more open on Rebirth. You can use a lot more viable tier weapons versus on Verdansk, where you pretty much have to use top meta and competitive weapons or you're going to get punished for it. For whatever reason, I feel like the SBMM also feels a little bit more relaxed on Rebirth. I don't know if this is a proven fact, and frankly, I feel like that would be a hard thing to directly prove, but just off of the feels, which isn't a great method to, test things, Rebirth just seems like it's a lot easier to play for a longer period of time than Verdansk without having to worry about constantly running into just super sweaty players, right? So casual friendly, way more open meta. Rebirth has a lot of pros going for it, and if it were to be removed from the game, that would be pretty brutal for a massive core of the player base now. And the thing is, they've said absolutely nothing about what's going to happen to Rebirth when Vanguard integrates into Warzone. Obviously, all of the focus, 100% of the focus, is on Vanguard when it gets integrated into the game. I can almost guarantee you all the Vanguard weapons are going to feel very strong and very powerful, especially if they can have up to 10 attachments on them. It's going to be just like Cold War. Obviously, when Cold War integrated, we had all the focus on that, and that's why we have Rebirth. They wanted to bring some attention to the Cold War integration. So we have a Cold War map now that's definitely favored by a lot of the community, but they want to bring all the eyes onto Vanguard and what's going on there with the new Pacific map. Rebirth is going to be seen as this thing, at least from a development standpoint, from a business standpoint, that is taking away some of those eyes, which is why I think it does have the potential to be removed either temporarily or permanently, maybe eventually replaced with something similar to Rebirth. It's like a smaller map that sort of fits into the whole Vanguard theme, but it's definitely an alarming thing if you're a fan of Rebirth or you just like the mode in general, because there's been no communication on it. We now have confirmation that Verdansk is completely getting removed when we see Vanguard integrated, which is why it also makes sense that we have all these different teasers and leaks and rumors for potentially a new end game event that actually, completely destroys Verdansk. But Rebirth has absolutely no information going on about it. So I think it was worth bringing up the discussion. Hey, this might not be a thing come Vanguard. We could see this temporarily removed or permanently deleted so that they can focus on Vanguard and bring more players onto Warzone Pacific, because obviously it's their new map that they've been working on. It's a brand new environment. They want to have as many people on that as possible. Rebirth could be a barrier for that, and they might try and do something about that. So it's interesting to talk about. Obviously, if we get any new information on what's going to happen to Rebirth and the whole state of that, I'll be covering it right here on the channel. So if you're not already subscribed, feel free to do so. That way you can always stay up to date with everything going on in COD. And of course, if you enjoyed the video or if you want Rebirth to stay, let me know by dropping a like on it. Would be seriously appreciated. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. That's going to do it for today. I will catch you guys in the next one. Until then, take it easy. Have an awesome rest of your day, and I will see you guys later. Peace out.